So line twists happen for two reasons. The primary reason, and probably the biggest culprit in most cases, is improperly spooling your spinning reel. And we'll get to that in just a moment. Or the other reason happens a lot of times because your lure is spinning on its axis and it keeps doing that, say if you're trolling or whatnot, and it twists your line up while you're fishing. So let's first address the main culprit, which is improper spooling of your spinning reel. So the basic idea is you want to put the line on your spool the same way that it's been packed on this spool, sitting on the store shelves or in a warehouse for months. There's a natural curve to this fishing line because your monos, your fluoros, and your copolymers all have memory. So if you spool your reel the wrong way, you're literally adding twist with every turn of the handle as you're putting a line on, which is probably the reasons you're getting those blow-ups in your first guide or those tangles as your line billows off your spool. There are an insane amount of videos out there. You'll watch some videos that say, hey, put your line in warm water. The idea behind this is it's gonna relax the line and kind of as you put it on a new diameter of spool, it's gonna help create that new memory. I don't think this actually works. There's some guys out there who absolutely swear by it. Some people out there think it's absolute nonsense. In my opinion, it's a moot point because I believe it's just a symptom. We're gonna get to the root cause here in just a moment. You'll see other videos out there that say, hey, take it straight off the line, like, hey, stick a pencil through here and just start winding it up. And that works great if you're doing it on a bait caster because your bait caster spool looks just like this and you're taking it off and putting it on the same way. However, when you take this straight off onto a spinning reel, you're actually twisting that line 90 degrees as your bail wrap that around your spinning reel. If you're doing it that way, it's likely the reasons you're getting those blow-ups on your cast and it's super annoying. Then you have all the line spoolers. I own one of these and reality is they work. I mean, the science makes sense to me. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna assume that you don't have one of these and they're really unnecessary if you remember this one thing. Now to avoid line twist, you want the line coming off this spool in a counterclockwise. Now you can usually achieve this by putting the spool on the ground with the label side up, but that's not always the measure. So what you're really looking for is when this line is coming up, it is coming off the spool counterclockwise, right? This is coming off counterclockwise here. Just make sure you have that because sometimes you buy some Japanese lines, the label's on the other side and it's coming off actually clockwise. So all you need to remember, the line coming off this spool counterclockwise. So remember, the idea here is that you want to put the line on your spool in the same way it's been packed on this sitting for months. Now some of you may be scratching your head saying, well, Darren, that's backwards. Well, the problem is a lot of people are looking at your spool like this. And if you're holding like this, you'd be scratching your head thinking I'm an idiot. But if you turn like this, how you'll actually be pointing it as you are reeling it in, now this is counterclockwise, right? So it's putting it on counterclockwise and it's coming off counterclockwise. And that, my friend, is how you avoid line twists. Now keep in mind, you're still gonna have a little bit of line twist in your line because you're taking line from a larger diameter spool and putting it on a smaller diameter spool. And so if you start to see it line twist over, if you have a really large spool over here, what you won't want to do is if you start to see it twisting, you can flip this over and start taking it off the other direction and then flip it back. So you just gotta kind of keep an eye on it. But since it's such a small spool size, it's negligible in my opinion, and I never really have any issues with it. And this is the reason I like to buy the 500 to 600 yards of line versus the larger diameter ones like you get in Walmart, because this spool size is more in alignment with the spool size on my spinning reels. All right guys, a few more tips for you on cutting down on line twist. One, use quality line. At the end of the day, you're gonna have more issues with your castability and line twists and tangles if you use cheap line. So upgrade $6 more and get some high quality line. I highly recommend the Seaguar Invisex. I like the 8-pound just for my spinning reels. Tip number 2, I like to put moderate to moderately heavy tension on the line when I'm packing it for the first time. Usually what I do is take my finger, put it up toward the first guide as I run all my line through all the guides, and then to slowly reel it on. You know you're going a little too fast when you start to burn your fingers, so just kind of spin it on there, moderate to moderate heavy tension, and you will be good to go. All right guys, here's a huge tip for you. A lot of anglers don't do this. Whenever they put line on their spinning reel, they will pack this thing all the way to the edge. And so if you want to cut down your line twists and the loops of this just billowing off and create creating a lot of issues for you. Only fill this up around 1/8 from the body of the line to the edge of your spool head right here. So leave some room there. If not, you're just gonna have more issues than you wanna deal with. All right, so my next tip for you is to manually close your bail after every cast. I know I had a huge habit I had to break, which I was just using the handle to kind of close the bail. And whenever I do that, you create a little bit of time for your line to kind of billow off, creating a lot of tangles for you. And whenever you close it through your handle, you're just gonna make your reel last a little bit longer because you are putting pressure on those gear tines when you don't have to, and you just kind of manually close it with your hand. So do this and you won't be out there on a hot bite day goofing around with your line. So manually close that bail. And the last tip, I'm actually want to hear from you. Some people love line conditioner. So the idea of putting line conditioner on your line is to soften up that line and to kind of create new memory. So let me know. Some people think it's absolute garbage and nonsense. Other people swear by it. So let me know in the comments below. What do you think? I know I don't use it myself because once I started doing all the things I just shared with you, I haven't had issues with line twists or line loops. Well, now that you have your line spooled up correctly, if you haven't greased or lubricated your spinning reel in a while, well, I got the video for you. I'll show you how to do that right there.